People with mental illnesses are dying on our streets. More than 350,000 are in jails and prisons. Most are people whose only real crime is they got sick. Pete Early. The government must recognize the reality of mental illness and its contribution to substance abuse in order for the needs of individuals within a society to be met. Mental illness and distress exist within all societies and serves as a catalyst for substance abuse. Aldous Huxley, in his novel Brave New World, recognizes these occurrences and paints a picture of a perfect or not-so-perfect world where he presents a solution or justification of these issues. Brave New World is a novel that satirizes a utopian society where scientific advancement and efficiency are the center of focus. Children within the society are born unnaturally into a world of predetermined classes within a caste system. The novel follows the characters Lenina Crown and Bernard Marx as they travel to a reservation where people outside of their society live unconditioned and therefore drastically different from people within the world state. As their adventure continues, they come across the savage John, who is the estranged son of an important individual in their society. John develops a love interest for Lenina and leaves the reservation to join her and Bernard in the world state. The juxtaposition of the two lifestyles leaves the reader to draw conclusions about how the modern society isn't as perfect as it is made out to be. In the end, John kills himself because he is unable to relate to Lenina or to anyone in the society due to their lack of emotion and overall humanity that has been conditioned out of them. In his novel, Huxley acknowledges that people are born different and thus promotes the idea of genetic engineering. This would eliminate the freedom of thought and the probability of genetic malfunction. If that didn't work, the government provides a drug, Soma, to temporarily ease any suffering. His solution to mental illness, or really any discomfort, is to condition it out of people before they are born, and or provide them with drugs to cope. There is always Soma, delicious Soma, 1/2 gram for a half holiday, 1 gram for a weekend, 2 grams for a trip to the glorious east, 3 for a dark eternity on the moon, returning whence they find themselves on the other side of the crevice, safe on the solid ground of daily labor and distraction. Huxley, 55-56. Soma enables its consumers to lose a sense of reality. The government provides this drug to its citizens as a means of coping with any distress. This puts into place an addiction for the drug that is promoted by the government. This addiction is a form of mental illness. Instead of catering to the needs of the citizens, the government in Brave New World still strives for conformity and is willing to impose addiction on its citizens so as not to jeopardize it. Using drugs as a coping mechanism is evident in society today. Unlike in Brave New World, however, drugs are not supplied by the government, but in most circumstances illegal. A study conducted by the National Institute of Mental Health revealed that in 2014, 20.2 million adults in the U.S. had a substance use disorder, and 7.9 million had both a substance use disorder and another mental illness. Addiction in and of itself is a disorder that may very well branch from a pre-existing mental illness. To have multiple disorders is called comorbidity and makes treatment more difficult. Drugs should not be used to suppress the symptoms of mental illness because they make treating the underlying issue more difficult. To resolve the issue of how mental illness is treated, many approaches have been taken. For example, in the Society of Brave New World, the government fed into the addiction of Soma. In modern society, drug users are imprisoned or jailed. However, to get to the root of a person's illness, rehabilitation should occur. According to the National Center on Addiction and Substance Abuse, of the 2.3 million U.S. inmates, 1.5 million suffer from substance abuse addiction, and another 458,000 inmates either had histories of substance abuse, were under the influence of alcohol or other drugs at the time of committing their crimes, committed their offenses to get money to buy drugs, or were incarcerated for an alcohol or drug violation. This study puts into perspective just how much of the prison population suffers from addiction. Inmates with these disorders are not being helped by being thrown in jail. Within a prison, drugs still circulate, and when offenders are released, they are likely to repeat their previous offense. If these people were treated for their illness instead of incarcerated, they may contribute more to society by being healthy, constructive people. Although rehabilitation of mentally ill offenders has shown promising results, there are some arguments that oppose it. For example, the philosophy of rehabilitation is inconsistent with the fair and constant dispensation of justice that the United States criminal justice system strives to maintain. The argument is made that since rehabilitation seeks to keep offenders institutionalized until they are deemed rehabilitated, it makes it so sentencing is administered by need rather than offense. If all offenders were to be granted rehabilitation as opposed to incarceration, then there are no strict repercussions for committing crimes, and the criminal justice system becomes flimsy. However, this argument can be countered by providing restrictions on the rehabilitative philosophy rather than rejecting it entirely. For example, rehabilitation may not have to be an option for all detainees, but only ones with certain circumstances. These circumstances may include only drug-related offenses or the deciding of rehabilitation by jury. Mental illness will remain existent within a society. However, the way it is managed should no longer result in non-progressive incarceration, overdoses, or homelessness. America's criminal justice system isn't known for rehabilitation. I'm not sure that, as a society, we are even interested in that concept anymore. Steve Earle. Think about it. Should rehabilitation be a goal of society today?